This is the Lessons in Positivity Videocast. Here's your host, Scott Peterson.
Hello again, coaches, athletes, and parents. Welcome to another episode of Lessons in Positivity. This week's guest is Dansby Swanson, starting shortstop for the Atlanta Braves. He's the type of superstar athlete that any young player should consider modeling their life after. He's very grounded in his faith, how he handles his finances, and is so wise about how he handles success and adversity. So we hope you enjoy this episode of Lessons in Positivity. Right, we're here with Dansby Swanson, starting shortstop for the Atlanta Braves, who won 3 straight divisional titles. But Dansby's history is he started playing baseball when he was young here in Georgia and in the Cobb County area where the Braves are located now. And then went on to Vanderbilt, had a great career there at Vanderbilt, went to 2 College World Series, won one of them, was the outstanding player in one of them, and then gets drafted number 1 by the Arizona Diamondbacks, then eventually back home to Atlanta. And so Dansby, welcome to the Positive Athlete Lessons in Positivity.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited for today and excited to chat to some kids.
Well, that's great. And one of the things is, you've kind of gone through this now. You've been in the big leagues a couple of years, but you had to make a kind of a decision early on what kind of person you were going to be, what kind of athlete that you were going to be, because some athletes get up there and all of a sudden it's like the fame and the fortune of it changes them. So how do you kind of view yourself as a positive athlete?
Well, I give all the credit in the world to my parents. I feel like my parents, I have an older brother and older sister, and I feel like that they did a pretty good job in raising all of us. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but I feel like that they really, really instilled a lot of the good beliefs and values and morals and things of those nature. Just to always do my best. I feel like that was the most important thing, was that they expected you to put in the effort to basically get the outcome that you wanted. So in school, if it was, they expected us to get all A's, and if there was a time where we weren't earning an A, they would just ask us if we were putting forth the effort to get an A. And if the answer was yes, they'd be okay with it. They'd be okay with the outcome not necessarily being what you were working towards, but just as long as you were working towards the highest, achievement. So I feel like that's just kind of been in my DNA ever since I was a little kid, and has started to kind of shine through as I've gotten older, and tried to separate myself, amongst other people and other athletes. And so I would really give a lot of credit to my parents just in how they raised me and the things that they really instilled in me. That obviously the faith component's a big component for me, trying to be involved in church and really trying to grow my relationship with Jesus each day, just through some scripture reading and some different Bible studies and working with our chaplain for the Braves. And I feel like that foundation has really been the biggest thing for me over the last couple of years.
Have you found that other athletes that you're running into now have the faith has become a little bit more easy to express because there are more athletes that are that are Christians and want to and aren't afraid to talk about it?
Yeah, I think that it's just neat. I feel like it's so empowering to be in a locker room with other guys that share that same faith, that you do some Bible studies with throughout the week, or you do some church services, with throughout the week, just because, we'll get together on Sundays and stuff like that and have a little service before our games in the morning. And then, sorry, my dog is going crazy this morning.
Okay.
But I think I think it's really empowering to just be able to be around other guys that share the same faith, that want to kind of express their faith and to really make a difference in the world just by how they treat other people, just how they love on other people and things of that nature. So it's really, really neat. Obviously, I love being a Christian. I love Jesus, and just hoping to do his work on this earth.
Yeah, everybody always thinks a baseball player's life up to the big leagues and where you are now is such smooth sailing, and there's never any bumps in the roads and things like that. What advice would you have for middle and high school kids that they love playing baseball or they love playing their sport, but that they are going to have some bumps along the way. And what's your advice to them when those happen?
Shoot, man, bumps always come, man. I feel like I've been dealing with bumps every year for my whole life, especially even more so once I get to the big leagues, because more responsibilities start to come about when you get, higher up on the chain, and more money, more problems, honestly. I feel like people don't necessarily, they think life's just made it, but that's not the case. It's such a new life to learn and to embrace. But my biggest advice for kids is always that bumps are going to come, and we tend to think that bumps don't come anymore because of social media, and social media plays tricks on our heads as far as so-and-so's life's perfect. Like, look at how they operate, look at all the things that they have. But what we forget is that social media is really just like a highlight reel, essentially, of if you really, really mess up, you're not going to put that on Instagram. If you hit a home run, you're going to put that on Instagram, but you're not going to put up making an error, right? And the same happens in life. There's bumps that come along the way. There's failures that come on the field, off the field. And it's important to remember that everybody goes through those, and that those failure is not necessarily what defines us. It's how we continue to respond amidst that failures is what defines us. And that's how I like to look at it. We're going to fail, but what's your response to that failure, right? There's another quote, it's life's only 10% of what you do, and the other 90% is how you respond, right? And there's so often that we'll fail, but if we get back up and try again, and if we fail again, then maybe we say, okay, well, how can I do this a little bit differently to try and get a different result? There's so many adjustments that can be made, but I think that, we tend to overcomplicate things. You're going to fail. It's going to happen. Nobody wants to fail, but guess what? That's just the nature of the beast, right? You're going to fail, and you just embrace it, and you learn from it, and you become better from it.
Well, and baseball's kind of baked into the baseball is failure, because you get 300 and still fail 70% of the time. But I want to kind of go back to a real life situation for you, and the fact that, okay, so you get drafted number 1 by Arizona, and then you get traded. And so I had this conversation with John Smoltz about him being traded from Detroit to Atlanta, very similar to your situation, except for he grew up in Michigan and always wanted to be a Tiger. But when that happens, what does it do to a player's psyche? Is that one of those things to where it's like they don't want me, or that somebody wants me?
Well, I mean, it just depends on how you look at it. My situation was pretty unique because it doesn't happen very often where the first player taken in the draft gets traded so quickly, right? Like, I got drafted in June, signed at the end of July, and got traded December 8th or something like that. And that doesn't happen very often. So it was a wild time for me, and I didn't really understand it. I didn't truly get the whole business side of sports. Just because I feel like loyalty kind of runs through my veins, and I had given them so much loyalty leaving from Vanderbilt to go play for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and didn't necessarily realize that it was the best thing that could ever happen to me, getting traded back home. And in the moment, I was upset. In the moment, I felt kind of like lied to and betrayed and things of that nature. But as life unfolded, I feel like God knew exactly what he was doing. There's so many things that I could never have guessed then, but now it makes more and more and more sense. The reason it happened was for X, Y, and Z to be able to happen. If I didn't come back to Atlanta, then there's a lot of things in my life that have taken place that I'm very fortunate with that would never have happened. So very blessed, obviously, and very, very grateful for it.
And so you get over that part of it, and then you come here and you get called up. You have some success in that final couple of months of the season, and all of a sudden these expectations get thrown on you. And all of a sudden you're starting to see lots of billboards with Dansby Swanson now kind of almost being the face of the franchise. And And then, well, pitchers have the book on you a little bit more, and you have to struggle in that first year. And so talk about that really, I'll call it your second year with the Braves. It was kind of your first full year. Is that that had to be you really had to probably dig into your positivity in that year.
Yeah, I learned a lot about myself during all that failure. I really, really did. I feel like the biggest thing that I learned was I had that success, and I kind of became somebody I hadn't ever really been. I kind of was a little less humble than I in previous times, and I feel like I kind of wanted to like celebrate my success more so than continue to do the things that brought me that success. And so I had to learn that tough lesson early on, just about the importance of continuing to work, put your head down and work. I guess it really, really put me on the path to get back to who I truly was and to discover more about myself, discover more about my faith, understand decisions that need to be made, and how to simplify my life. That's something I was talking about with Chris, with LGE, was just the importance of simplification. Like I said, we can overcomplicate things a lot, especially as this lifestyle gets, the money starts coming in and you have more responsibilities. It's so easy to have, 100 different things going on instead of really, really focusing on, 3 or 4 things, just your core beliefs and your core things driving your life. And I feel like that's something that I really had to learn. And now that I have learned is awesome. It's such a great way to live. I feel like, decisions become easier because you understand what's at stake. And at the time I thought it was the worst thing ever, going through that much failure in one season. But now it's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me, going through that. I wouldn't want to do it again, but I'm very glad and thankful that it did happen, because it's led me to be who I am today and where I am. So.
Is there a player that you play with currently or have played with that you say, that's the kind of person I want to be. That's how I want to go about my both my craft as a baseball player, but also maybe who I want to be in the community. Who is there somebody like that? I
think there's just tidbits from everybody. I think each guy I've played with has brought such a unique personality and perspective on things. So there's definitely been guys that, like, man, that guy is he's a one of one, right? Like he's just a one of one. So in this year especially, there was a lot of opportunities to really get to know your teammates, because once again, professional sports, it's not like we just hang out together. It's not like college where you just hang out with your teammates all day, every day. It's a little bit different. Guys have families. They're not gonna stay around at the field for 2 hours after the game. They're gonna go directly home to their kids. And this year we had a little bit of a different team. We would actually spend time in the locker room, just hanging out, sitting there talking over the game, and you really got to know players on the team. And so I feel like you can take little bits from each guy about something that they maybe do in the community, something that something that's really impacted their faith, that made them feel like that they were growing in their Christianity. There's been guys just personality in general, how they approach each day, and how you're like, man, they really live in the moment. They really take advantage of every opportunity that they have. And so there's a lot of guys. I feel like there's not one person I'm like, man, I want to be that guy. I feel like that there's just so many different things you can learn from each of your teammates and each of the guys that you spend that time around.
How much do you find yourself learning from Mallory Pugh, your girlfriend?
Yeah, a lot, actually. I feel like she's one of them. She's probably gonna come downstairs here in a minute and hear me talking about her. But I feel like she's one of the most disciplined people that I know, and it's just amazing to see how she dedicates herself to her craft, and how she has had to all the different things that she's had to go through too, just as far as being seen as the face of U.S. women's soccer at age 17, like that. It's one thing doing it when you're 22, 23, when you can handle it a little bit better, when you're still in high school trying to, take an algebra exam. So I feel like just how she's grown is really inspired me a lot. Her faith and her belief, in God is really, really neat to see unfold and to learn from as well. Yeah, she's definitely makes me a lot better of a person. I tell her that all the time. That she's really shown me who I am, shown me how important love is, shown me the importance of faith, and so I'm forever grateful for it.
You have a movement that you started called All Things Loyal. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, and maybe how do coaches and athletes and parents find out more about it?
So All Things Loyal, I started with one of my best friends probably 2 years ago. In 2018, maybe 2.5 years ago now. Yeah, 2.5 years ago. And originally it just started out as telling my story as far as how I grew up in Atlanta and what led me to be such like an Atlanta homer, from rap music to the Braves to, the varsity, to the Falcons. I'm like a diehard Falcons fan. My mood depends on if they win or lose on Sundays. But I wanted to tell my story because I felt like people didn't really know me, because they thought I was just another, kid from Kennesaw, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, and fulfilling all types of stereotypes. And I really just wanted to tell my own story about how I grew up and how I became to fall in love with just the culture of Atlanta in general. So it's developed itself from that to basically we were selling T-shirts to be able to donate proceeds to charity, different types of charities. We've worked with, if we were working with, the Migos, we were giving money to their charity for the American Cancer Society or Foundation. So we were doing a bunch of different things, trying to tie everything into Atlanta, trying to tie everything to giving back to local communities. And so that blessed us with a lot of different, relationships with people. And then it's really developed more into helping people grow to be the best versions of themselves, helping kind of just promote positivity. I feel like so often on social media now, it's a bunch of negativity. It's a bunch of unrealistic expectations. And so we're just trying to, give back to the community in ways that we can through our presence on social media. And then we still donate, portions of the proceeds to charity to just try and stay involved and basically give people a fighting chance for their own life, whether it's, teaching them positive traits or habits, or being able to give back to, different charities.
Well, Dansby, you certainly are the definition of a positive athlete, and all of the things you're doing, the way you approach life and your faith and all of those things. And we just, we're so honored that you took some time to spend with us today and give some great advice to kids about how they should go through the process of getting through middle school and high school. There's a lot of other stuff other than playing sports that they have to get through.
Yes, there is.
But you've done it really well. And any last advice you would give to some kids just as they're growing up? And what would you, if you could go back and tell Dansby Swanson, the middle school, almost high school kid, what would you tell them?
I'd say the biggest thing is everyone's got their own formula to success. There's not one cookie cutter way to do it. There are certain things that have to be done. Like there's got to be a lot of hard work. There's got to be some type of, blessing of talent that's for sure. And you got to have, the right opportunities and honestly luck to some extent. But I'd say the biggest thing for me is just understanding who you are and what formula leads to your success, because how I do things is different than how Freddie Freeman does things. And there's been a bunch of different ways that people have become successful, and to just learn that formula and to just embrace that, because there's going to be a point in your sports career or even in, how you do things in life where people are going to challenge the way you do things. And you just need to be able to be wise enough to understand if you should continue to stick to what has made you successful or what's going to help you continue to move forward, because it's so easy to say, well, I like how that guy does this, and I'm just going to try and do it like that. Well, yeah, I may not have the personality to do it like that. I may not have the capabilities to do something like that. So just really stay aware of who you are and what's made you successful, and that tends to lead to good things down the road.
Great advice, Dansby. Dansby, thanks so much for spending time with us. Enjoy the rest of your off season, and we'll look forward to seeing you back on the field, hopefully, in front of big crowds in the 2021 season.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. I really appreciate it.
Dansby is such a breath of fresh air in how he approaches his stardom. If you're looking for a role model to pattern your life after, you could do a lot worse than emulating Dansby Swanson. Our other videocasts are also filled with other great role models as well, and they're available on our video section of our website at positiveathlete.org. If you're interested in reading inspirational stories of high school positive athletes, we'd love for you to check out our new book, The Positive Athlete. You can purchase this book at our website, which is, again, positiveathlete.org. We'll see you again next time on Positive Athletes, Lessons in Positivity.